It's great to have you with us from wherever you're tuning in from. For more information about Elevate Church or to contact us, head to our website elevatechurch.me and take us wherever you go by downloading our Elevate Church AU app. We hope this message inspires and helps you to take your next steps in your journey.
Hey, so you made it. You survived Cyclone Narelle. I love that. Like, tell us the cyclone was in Australia without telling us the cyclone was in Australia. Let's call it Cyclone Narelle. You know that the Bureau of Meteorology, just announced that the next two cyclones are going to be called Cyclone Bazza and Cyclone Shazza. So look out for them. That's coming to a coast near you. Great to have you here this morning, and this is week 2 of a series that we've called Rescued to be a Rescuer. Look, just question, you don't have to put your hand up, but I wonder if you've ever felt like a season of life where you feel like you've been underwater. You know, it could be just circumstances have been piling on. It could be like cost of living. Some of you drive a car that requires petrol. Or it could just be like even good things. You know, you're starting a side hustle and you want to maybe turn that into your primary income stream. Just feels like, oh my gosh. And in those situations, one of the things I think we sometimes feel like that we need is rescue. Like just get me above water, or even maybe better still, get me out of this situation entirely. And so this series is really in the run up to Easter. We're using this word rescue to really describe what Jesus did when he came to earth. He rescued us when we couldn't rescue ourselves, rescued us from sin, rescued us from darkness, which is what we talked about last week. You know, last week we looked at the miracle where there's a man that has been blind since birth. And you think of just how limited in that era that man would have been, given that he was blind since birth. And Jesus presented himself and declared, I am the light of the world, and literally healed that man. And people couldn't believe it, which is fair enough. They'd only known this guy to be blind. Some people didn't even believe it was the same guy, and they called for the parents. Can you come and ID this kid? Because he couldn't see, and now I can see. Is this even the same person? So they kept grilling him. These parents come along and they're like, whoa, Junior, yeah, it's him. What happened to you? And then the religious leaders got involved. He stuck to his story. He literally said, this is the best explanation I can give you. I was blind, but now I can see. This guy named Jesus came along. I was blind, but now I can see. He couldn't even explain it. And for many of you, that's your story. And actually, I'll give you a little pro tip. That's about as complicated as you need to make it, oftentimes. I once had crippling anxiety. Then Jesus came along, and now I don't. I once had a world that I was destroying through my anger, but Jesus came along, and now I'm not. I once had a relationship that was on the brink of falling apart, but Jesus stepped in, and now it isn't. I was once underwater financially, but now I'm not. I once had no peace and joy, but Jesus entered my world, and now I have peace and joy. I once had an addiction that controlled my world and was destroying my world, but Jesus came along, and now I don't have that addiction. I once felt my life had no purpose, and then Jesus came along, and now I feel like my life has purpose. That is literally oftentimes as complicated as we need to make it. I once was blind, but now I can see. All right, today I want to look at another miracle, and it's another healing miracle. If you've got the Bible app installed, or if you don't, I believe this will get you to where you need to install it. And we're going to drop into Mark chapter 2. Now, Mark's one of the 4 biographers of Jesus, obviously the best named of the 4, and we're going to go into chapter 2. So it's very early on in Jesus' life, public life and ministry, and we're going to drop into a slice of history where we're going to meet a man this week not blind since birth, this week paralyzed since birth. So once again, a man whose life was all about limitations and confinement and very much defined by the fact that he was crippled. And we're going to discover that this man had spent all of his life on a mat, like a yoga mat, Pilates mat. It's that kind of thing. He sat on the mat during the day. He begged on the mat. He ate on the mat. He probably slept on the mat. And it's almost potentially, we could conclude he may have even expected he was going to die on the mat. Like that mat literally defined the confines of his life. And this was the ancient world. There was no NDIS programs to help a guy like that. Like literally your options were you beg or you starve. That was it. And so he didn't really have a lot going for him, suffice to say, except we're about to discover he had 4 incredible friends. Sometimes that's exactly God's rescue plan for you. He surrounds you with incredible friends, and we're going to look at what it means not to have incredible friends. The emphasis today is what it looks like to be those incredible friends, to be the rescuer in this story, not actually the rescued. So, here we go. When Jesus returned to Capernaum several days later, read it for yourself, what happened before that, the news spread quickly he was back home. Soon the house where he was staying was so packed with visitors that there was no more room, even outside the door. And while he was preaching God's word to them, 4 men arrived. Say this word with me, carrying. Remember, I'll say it again. You're the 4 men in this story. You're not the dude on the mat. Understand? Yes. So here's a little clue about our job description. It involves carrying a paralyzed man on the mat. These 4 friends knew something incredibly powerful, and it was this: if we can just get him to Jesus, Jesus will take care of the rest. We need to be the sort of church community that's willing to do the heavy lifting in the lives of other people who can't necessarily, either temporarily or long-term, actually carry themselves. That's what it looks like to be rescued, to be a rescuer, to live with a deep conviction that life's not actually first and foremost about us. Now, any risk takers here? Anybody, you describe yourself as a risk taker? Who are my risk takers? Good on you, Jackson. Good on you, buddy. Who are my cautious people? Any cautious people? How many are so cautious you wouldn't raise your hand? You're like, oh, it's not going to happen. It feels like a setup to me. All right. We talked about selfies a bit last week. Polena, remember that? I couldn't get you out of my mind. The queen of the selfies. Talk about selfies. There's a whole category of selfies called risky selfies. Let me show you some. Some of you recognize, this is a building in Taipei, in Taiwan, called Taipei 101. It's called 101 because it's got 101 floors. Did anybody watch a couple of months ago a crazy Russian man free climb on Netflix, live streamed on Netflix? Free climbed, this building. Did anyone watch that? Did anyone? Yeah, all the time. He's like, of course I watched that. The dude free climbed up a 101-story building. All right, good. And of course, he had to, when he got near the top, this is a moment I call, look, Mum, no hands. He literally locked his legs around one of the things whilst he reached for a bit more right. Look, Mum, no hands. That was it. No, I switched to Prime Video at that moment. I'm like, I can't do this. This guy's surely going to die on live television. Well, he didn't. He made it. And of course, how did he celebrate? It's 2026. He took a selfie. Better show my mom. Still with you. So there's a risk taker right there. There's a whole category of volcano selfies. So what are you doing tomorrow? I'm going to climb into an active volcano, take a selfie in front of some bubbling magma. Oh yeah, you? I don't know, going to go to Woolies, do some shopping, buy some hot cross. Or this one. There's a whole category of shark selfies. Shark selfies! No. Like I look at this and I go, it's okay if this guy dies. This is not a loss to humanity. This man is an idiot. Did you know that in 2025, more people across the planet died taking a selfie than died by a shark attack. Hello? So, put down your phones and go and swim with the sharks. It's safer. That's the moral of that story. Look, the moral of the story is it's impossible to live a life of faith without being willing to take some risks. It's impossible to serve others without being willing to take some risks. Loving other people, hello, can be risky. But the good news is, and this is what I want to really lean into today, the risks are worth it. They exist, they're inescapable, but they're worth it. So here's the 4 friends. Try to get their friend on the mat to Jesus. They couldn't get in the front door. They hit a snag, thought it had a great plan. Plan didn't work. Let's pivot. Let's try for plan B. Well, plan B looked like this. Whoa, stand by. Oh, okay. This slide deck is risky. Never mind. You following along? Yeah. I'm going to read it to you, old school. Sorry, in the back of my mind, I'm trying to figure out what actually happened. But anyway, never mind. I'll sort that out later. All right. So the 4 friends brought the man to Jesus, couldn't get into the house. And so Mark continues and said, well, they couldn't bring him to Jesus because of the crowd. So they dug a hole through the roof above his head, and they lowered the man on his mat right down in front of Jesus. They climbed on the roof and they dug a hole in the roof to lower the man. And this wasn't a skylight-sized hole. This was a man-sized hole. This was a mat-sized hole. This was risky. They didn't know how the people were going to react. Excuse me, there shall be no lowering. This is church. They didn't know how Jesus was going to react. Fellas, hello, trying to preach here. They didn't know how the homeowner was going to react. This is highly unacceptable behavior. Do you know how much that roof cost me? We need to be the sort of church that's not just willing to carry people. We need to be the sort of church that's willing to break through some barriers. No point praying for breakthrough if you're not willing to do what it takes when God calls you to break through. Hello. Oh, crowds. Oh, I guess we'll come back tomorrow. Oh, it's too hard. Climbing on the roof. Listen, I'm not insured for that. Now, we try to do as much of that because it's not necessarily a physical thing. Sometimes it's other things like barriers. Like we remove Christianese when we talk. We talk in this language called English. Because you're talking Christianese, and the people that don't speak Christianese, incidentally, there's a website called dictionaryofchristianese.com if you want to learn the language. I looked at it, so you didn't have to. Don't bother. But like I get up here, I start speaking, I don't know, Swahili. Well, some of you are like, yeah, bring it on, white boy. I get it. But most of us, that would not be helpful. So we just speak English because that's a barrier, right? Yeah. I've been washed by the blood of the... What? You've been washed by the blood of the Lamb. What are you, a butcher? It's like, okay, let's just talk. Now, what about dress code? Did you know we have a dress code here at Elevate Church? It's called wear clothes. That's the dress code. Actually, no, it's called wear clothes, please. That's the dress code. There's a church in Austin, Texas called Gateway Church. Their slogan is no perfect people allowed. Whoa. Obviously, I'm not welcome there, but the rest of you. Look, if you're rich, you're welcome. If you're currently living paycheck to paycheck, guess what? You're welcome. If you're tall, you're welcome. If you're short, you're welcome. If you're young, not as young, well-educated, not so well-educated, black, white, pink, yellow, or green, you're welcome. That's it, right? And you go, well, that sounds pretty obvious to me. And I'm not going to say we're better than any church because we are not better than a lot of but here's the thing. There are some churches you have to kind of get stuff sorted before you're welcome in the doors. And I'm just saying we cannot be that sort of church. Oh, I see you didn't bring the leather shoes this morning. Oh. I'll bring the leather shoe next week, pal. Now, I grew up in the Catholic Church. Here's a pivot. I grew up in the Catholic Church. Anyone, any fellow Catholic Church upbringing? Yep, good, all right. Well, there's a support group that we'll have over here at 11 o'clock, and the Italian Catholics will lead that, and it probably won't be in English, but anyway. Now, but I grew up in the Catholic Church right through to my early 20s, and then I transitioned in my early 20s from the Catholic Church to a church just in Burswood. That's kind of like the approach is a bit similar to how we do church here at Elevate. And it comes up for me quite a lot in conversations. You know, oh, you lead a church. How did you come to lead a church? I said, well, I grew up in the Catholic Church. Then I transitioned. Oh, people say, oh, really? What made you transition out of the Catholic Church? And I like to have a bit of fun. So I say, well, have a guess. And literally, in all my years, no one has ever guessed correctly. Not once. And I get this one. Oh, yeah, because it was a bit boring, right? No, that's not the reason. Oh, because it was kind of irrelevant. No, that's not the reason. Oh, what's the reason? The reason is this. It's one reason for me. I felt somehow inside me a deep conviction that God had put me on this earth to serve in a church. And I'm not dunking on the Catholic model, but that's not the Catholic model. The Catholic model, and this is what I was used to, is you come in, you sit down, you kneel down, you sit down, you stand up, you sit down, you kneel down, you sit down, you walk forward, you walk back, you sit down, you stand up, kneel down, you sit down, and you leave. 45 minutes later, a lot of kind of, spiritual aerobics. I don't know. Anyway, and I'll see you next week. And you come in next week, and there's a lot of sit down, stand up, kneel down, walk forward, sit down, stand up, walk back, sit down. Kneel. And I was like, I just had something in me that this is not church. Like I wasn't even reading the Bible back then, but it's just like, this doesn't make sense. We're not kind of there to just like watch a show, surely. And so thankfully God allowed me to discover a church that was very much about, if you want to get involved, there are opportunities for you to get involved. And that is the conviction, thank you, of our code. We're contributors, not consumers. The church doesn't exist for us. Say it with me. We are the church, and we exist for the world. And something amazing happens when we take the risk and start to step forward to serve. But not everyone's done it yet, and I'm not here going like, yeah, I know who you are. Unemployed people. It's just this idea that I'm aware there are some sticking points. Let me show you a couple of reasonably common sticking points. Some people assume that they're underqualified, that they assume that opportunities are above them. Well, if you knew my past, there ain't no way you'd want me to serve. If you could spend 24 hours in my head listening to the thoughts I think, there's no way you'd allow me to serve. If you knew the mess I still am. Here's the reality. God specializes in using underqualified people because you know what? That's all he's got access to, because we're all underqualified. Not only are no perfect people allowed, we allow imperfect people on teams because that's all we have access to. And the risk is, if you assume that you're underqualified and that everything's above you, you stay in your comfort zone and you miss out on this great, risky, crazy adventure that God wants to take you on in serving. But then the pendulum kind of can swing over to this one, that some people assume that they're overqualified, that, opportunities are beneath them. I know a CEO of a very successful company who serves in the kids ministry at his church. And I speak with him and he says, it actually makes me a better CEO because it keeps me grounded. It keeps me humble. When I'm in the workplace Monday to Friday, I'm a better CEO because I have learned to serve in humility, in obscurity, and kids don't tend to thank you, in a thankless role. And here I'll give you a couple examples here of how that kind of plays out. I mean, we've got a great group of team members, and I haven't seen this one actually come up. I haven't seen that. In fact, I've seen the opposite. Like, there's this great spirit of no job is beneath any of us. If rubbish needs to be picked up. Where's the bin? You know, it's like whatever. Did you know that we actually do all of our own cleaning and the majority of our maintenance of our facilities, which if you walk around, there's a little bit to it. Starting next term, if you weren't aware of this, our facilities are going to be used 6 days a week. Like most churches are empty 6 days a week and filled for half a day on a Sunday. We're going to be, there's 4 churches that meet here every weekend, plus 2 youth ministries. It's a community group that meets on a Monday morning in Hall 2. We're about to have a business setup shop in Hall 2 through the week. It's a whole thing. It's just brilliant, right? It's brilliant. But, you know, there's some cleaning required. There's some, things break. Plus our facilities are aging, not Asian. And we could actually get, looking ahead, and I've kind of crunched the numbers, we could get a commercial cleaning company in and contract them, and I've estimated that'll cost us about $50,000 a year to do our cleaning for 12 months, right? Which I'm like, you know what? I think we could take that $50,000 and use it for other things. Yes. And so, all right, we're going to keep doing the cleaning ourselves. Last month I was in Tasmania. There was a church there. They've built this like bonkers facility. It's a function center that also operates as a church, multi-story. They do weddings, wedding receptions, corporate events. They have a liquor license, so they're able to do like parties and banquets. And anyway, and they've got this whole, like there's a lower level which is all kids stuff. And you go down a slide to get there, which is pretty cool. And it's all like ball pit, and it's like one of those places that like it would be up in Malaga, and you'd pay $15 entry kind of place. They built that in the church property, and theirs is getting used 7 days a week, morning, noon, and night. And I'm trying to learn. I go, okay, that's great. Just a couple of questions. Who does the cleaning here? And they said every day at 3 p.m. The staff, they're about 6 or 7 staff. The staff literally stop what they're doing at 3 o'clock every day and go and do the cleaning 5 days a week. And I was like, I love that. I love that because it keeps them grounded. And then people from the church can actually come at 3 o'clock and join in and get involved in this. You know, I tell our team, Jesus washed feet, we wash floors. It's the exact same spirit. Do you understand? It's the exact same spirit. And then, you know, we've got aging. I don't want to keep looking at you when I make these very peripheral and quite offensive racial profiling jokes. Asian facilities. That's not even funny, Mark. Fair enough. But, you know, we've got lawns that need mowing. We've got weeds that need pulling. We've got walls that need painting. We've got broken things that need fixing. And most of that is done by our team members. I'll give an example. Last Saturday morning, I came here to do the cleaning because I'm one of the people that's part of our operations team doing the cleaning. So I came early to do the cleaning. And I walked in the foyer and I heard this gushing sound. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that can't be good. And so I followed the sound and I went down the corridor towards the toilets and it's getting louder. I'm thinking, oh no, because there's 3 sets of toilets over there. A lot of pipes. I'm thinking, didn't have this on my list of things to deal with on Saturday. So I opened the first toilet door, no water anywhere. Okay, that's a relief. Go to the second toilet door, no water anywhere. Go to the third and final toilet door, no water anywhere. And this gushing's getting louder. And I'm thinking to myself, well, this can't be good. So I turned the corner and I just kept following it. I opened one of the storerooms. It's literally behind this door there. Opened the storeroom. I was ankle deep in bore water. Gross. I'm thinking, well, this can't be good. I still don't know where the water's coming from. I just know where it's going to now. So I'm getting warmer. So I go outside and I see this thing. I see this water thing. You could start selling tickets. Rivervale's latest tourist attraction. Come and see the water spray. Kids, you can run around during the summer. You'll love. Screw Elizabeth Key. Come to Elevate Church. You'll never be hot again. You'll never stop smelling again, but you'll never be hot again. There's a retic pipe. Boof! This thing's like a geyser, like 14 feet in the air. I'm like, ah! So, one of our operations teams is quite a handy man. His name's Rod Newton. I waited till 8 o'clock. I text Rod Newton and I said, Newton, we have a problem. Liz, come on. Come on. That's pretty good, right? I write all my own material. That's pretty good. And he texts back, on it. Now, here's the thing about Rod. Rod, when he woke up that morning, did not have exploring and potentially fixing a retic pipe on his list of things to do. Rod is normally found on a Saturday having Rod time at a local coffee shop with coffee and cake. Only this time he's on it. Now I just wait. 6 p.m., Rod's a man of few words. I get a text message from Rod, done. Now, Rod's actually a commercial property manager in the CBD. He manages buildings worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And I'm just glad that Rod, when I said, Newton, we have a problem, didn't text me back with the words, listen, Mark, I feel retic pipes are a little beneath me. And he got it done. Now, Louie's going to talk later about this idea of finding your fit, this idea that God's actually put us on this earth, planted us in Elevate Church for such a time as this. And there are opportunities, all sorts of opportunities. She's going to show you what they are. But I just want to give you a little squeak of something we're about to start, and that is midweek cleaning. So this $50,000 a year, we're not going to spend that. And so, because, by the way, Sundays, for some of you, the idea of serving on a Sunday, it's just not even practical based on your current stage of life. I get that. So we're going to start cleaning on a Monday afternoon. It's only going to take 30 to 60 minutes, by the way. In my head, I call it the 1 hour of power. But I'm like, I think I'm overselling it. Mopping. Come and mop floors. It's called the 1 hour of power. It's just called mopping. But anyway. So Monday afternoon, Saturday morning, and then Sunday morning. Sunday morning, we're already doing this. I'm just letting you know that that's a new opportunity, and that might be your thing. You're like, actually, I'm free Monday afternoons for 30 minutes, 60 minutes. I'm free Saturday mornings. I get here at 5:30. We can probably move the clock a little bit if that sounds early. And that's why I waited till 8 o'clock to text Rod. I'm not a psychopath. Louis will talk a bit about, if you're interested in that or any of the opportunities, that's the deal. Seeing their faith. Say this with me. Seeing their faith. You know, Jesus sees your faith. Sees, lowering through the roof. Jesus went, hey, I'm trying to preach here. Seeing their faith. They were willing to do whatever it takes so that their friend would be able to get to Jesus. They were willing to do the breakthrough so that their friend could ultimately experience the breakthrough. Jesus said to the paralyzed man, my child, your sins are forgiven. This idea of serving, it's not about just getting stuff done. It's not about working through a checklist. It's about us saying, you know what, God, use some of my time, use some of my talents, use some of my faith so that others will get impacted, be able to meet Jesus, to be able to encounter him and see their lives change just like you've changed my life. Now, Jesus says your sins are forgiven. Of course, the religious leaders didn't like that. Murmur, 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 murmur. Who's this guy to think he can forgive sins? Well, Jesus knew what they were thinking, so he said, so I'll prove to you the Son of Man has the authority on earth to forgive sins. And then Jesus turned to the paralyzed man and said, stand up, pick up your mat. Hello, hold that thought, and go home. The man jumped up, grabbed his mat, and walked out through the stunned onlookers. They were all amazed and praised God, exclaiming, we've never seen anything like this before. I'm reading this during the week, and I said to myself, what's the deal with the mat? Like, surely Jesus would say to this guy, leave the mat. You don't need that anymore. You can leave that behind, and the cleaners will take it out with the rest of the trash. You even think that the guy who actually then willingly picked up the mat would be thinking to himself, There's no way I'm taking that mat with me. That mat symbolizes everything that I've hated about my life up to this point. That mat is a symbol of constraint. That mat is a symbol of limitation. That mat is a symbol of everything that was wrong with my life. And Jesus, you're saying, take it with me. What's the deal with Jesus saying, take up your mat? I think it's simply this. You and I, all of us, have a mat. We've all got a past. We've all got things that were less than God's best in our life. And then Jesus came along and he did Jesus stuff. And when we actually carry our mat into our future, yes, we're no longer reliant on the mat. So that's good. But the mat is actually a symbol of our story. And you're going to meet people who are currently confined to the mat that you used to be confined to. You've come through relationship struggles, and God brought you through that. And you're going to meet people that are going through relational struggles, and you say, check this out. This is my mat. I've been there. You are the most effective person to reach and influence somebody that's currently gone through what Jesus has actually brought you through. If your past is alcoholism, someone says to me they're an alcoholic, right? It happens a lot too, by the way. And I'm like, oh, okay, that doesn't sound good, but I have no clue. I just know it's probably not good. But if you've actually come through alcoholism and Jesus has helped you kick that, you say, dude, I get it. I've been there. And by the way, I know a way out. Follow me. Let me show you. Whatever it is, and so this guy, the next time walks past a crippled man in Capernaum or Jerusalem or any nearby town, and he sees a crippled guy on a mat, he doesn't throw the guy 20 cents. He says, hey, see this mat? It's the same as yours, but I don't need it anymore, and I can point a way out for you. And this is about this idea of rescued to be a rescuer.
We really hope you got a lot out of this message. If you live in the Perth area, we'd love for you to join one of our live experiences. For times and directions, as well as information, head to our website, elevatechurch.me. For those of you beyond the Perth area, we'd love for you to connect with our online experience, which premieres every Sunday via YouTube and Facebook Live, and on demand immediately after. And to partner with us to reach more people by giving financially, head to our website, elevatechurch.me, and also download our Elevate Church AU app.